Hey quilters, this is Sarah from Snugglebug Stitching, and right now we're looking at a double-sided t-shirt quilt that I just made. And this is a little bit different than my normal t-shirt quilts. You see the stitching is plain, clean, simple straight lines as opposed to my usual varied free motion quilting. But it is kind of cool because it's a double-sided t-shirt quilt. Double-sided quilts have their own challenges. Usually when I make double-sided quilts or reversible quilts, the front side is a pattern and the back side is just improv. So I don't necessarily have to match those up. I just make the bag really big and trim off the excess. But with a true double-sided quilt where you have a pattern on both sides, I feel like the biggest challenge with those is figuring out how to get the front side and the other front side, the back side, to match up when you baste those. So I'm going to show you a tip. You can see how I do that. Today I am working on a double-sided t-shirt quilt. You can see here I've already got one side basted and turned over. So this is the first side I basted. I've got a border on here. This quilt was made with a different theme on each side, and the shirts in this side that you see here with a border, it did not make as large of a quilt, so I added a border to it to get it up to the right size and also make it a little bit easier to when I go to quilt this, because I'll have something to a little bit of overhang. The border needs to be, for this one I needed 4.5 inches. I went ahead and cut the strips at 6 just to give a little bit extra overhang. So I'm going to show you a tip for making it easier to align those two sides when you're basting it. So right here we've got some washable markers and a square ruler. And that's a 16.5 inch square ruler, but any size will work. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 45-degree line on our ruler and line it up with the edge. You can kind of see this here through the batting, but the edge of that quilt, not the border, but the edge of the t-shirt part of the quilt. So we're going to line that diagonal line up with that. And the tip, the corner here, is going to be lined up with this part right here, which was the edge of the t-shirts too. So get those two spots aligned. I'm going to grab my marker and just going to draw this line. So now that that line's drawn, I'm going to slide it down, extend it a little bit, and just make that line a little bigger there. So we will do this for all 4 corners of our quilt. You can see over there where I've already got a few of them done. And what this is going to do is this is going to make it so that when we baste the other side of the t-shirt quilt to there, we have something to line this up with. So you will end up lining up the corners of your quilt on this line. So if the corners of your quilt are lined up pretty close, if each corner is lined up pretty close to one of these markings, then that's going to help you center that. So just be sure before you baste that second side and before you draw those lines that everything's nice and smoothed out. And I'll show you the finished quilt when it's done. All right, so I've got the second side of my quilt laid out on the batting, and you can see on the corners where all the corners are lined up pretty well with those lines that I drew with the washable marker. So that kind of lines it up for us so that we can baste this and hopefully keep these aligned.